Hi folks, and welcome to episode 41 of the Christie Hand Knitting Podcast. I'm your host Eva, and I'm coming to you from my home in Perth in Scotland, where it is a beautiful, rather warm day today. If you were celebrating Beltane, I hope you had a fantastic time. If not, and you were lucky enough to get May Day off, I hope you spent it wisely, and if not, well, hey, such is life, isn't it? It's not fair. It's not always fair, but we keep on ploughing through. This is my podcast about knitting, novels and other cultural pursuits, and you'll find out where else I am all over the internet and more about my work as director of Perth Festival of Yarn just down, following all the links in the down bar. All the information's down here rather than going through it all. Like all the other podcasters say, you know, hope you enjoy it, thanks for checking me out. I don't always say this every week because I feel it can come across as a bit insincere. Just to mention it all the time, it doesn't mean that the sentiment's not true, but it can come across as a bit false. So I don't always say it, but you are all truly appreciated, whether you're just checking me out for the first time or you're a returning viewer, or even if you watch me and decide that you don't like me. Thanks for investing some of your time of your day with me. Thanks. Lots to get through today. It's been 2 weeks since we last spoke. Whenever I say that, it sounds like I'm making a confession or something. I'm certainly not. I have a hot beverage with me this week. It's coffee. It's in my Moomin mug. My Moomins, because I do love the Moomins. Let's just get on, shall we, with all the interesting stuff. So, there are no rehomed yarns this week at all. I've been pretty darn good. I am working my way through my stash and loving it and appreciating it and saving my pennies for Perth Festival of Yarn, which, guys, we're almost at 60 vendors now. And here's a big spoiler alert, I might as well kind of share it with you guys here. If you follow me as Perth Festival of Yarn on Facebook, you'll already know, but we have the amazing yarn dyer and podcaster, who's going to get mentioned again in Pod Love, but Lisa, I think that's how you pronounce her first name. Anyway, the force of nature that is behind TreLiz, she is coming all the way from Athens to Perth Festival of Yarn. How awesome is that? And I did, and I tried not to say it cheekily, but I did get in touch with her when she contacted us, expressing interest in coming across. I did say that this is Perth, Scotland, and not Perth, Australia. You know, not that Perth isn't a lovely place, Perth, Scotland, because it is, but on a warmth comparison scale, even though it's summer here, it can still be pretty nippy some days, but no, we were right and we had a good laugh about it. And seriously guys, I am still buzzing off that news. It was just awesome stuff. So yeah, no rehomed yarns, nothing actually completely finished, apart from these. Actually, this is kind of like a finished project. I did a bit of yarn dyeing. I spent half a day on Beltane dyeing. But this is no ordinary dyeing, folks. I have four 100-gram skeins of botanically dyed yarn using the last of the daffodil heads that I harvested when I took a wee bit of time out about a week before that. I was house sitting / temple sitting / cat sitting for my dear friend Sujat, and yes, it's late in the season for daffodils, but not if you know where to find them. I knew they were a wee bit past their best, but not for dyeing purposes, and look. I'm so utterly thrilled with how they turned out, and they've had a wash as well. I'll give them a second wash just to make sure that they're absolutely colour fast, but they did seem to be. I'm really chuffed, because that's the third time I've tried to botanically dye, but it's the first time I've been successful. Although I hadn't done daffodils before, but it's the most beautiful soft, sort of mellow yellow kind of look. So yeah, majorly happy with that, although there is a fair amount of work involved in botanically dyeing. There is with acid dyeing as well, to get various different techniques and stuff, but oof, that was fairly intense, but great intensity. Let's go on to actual knitting projects that I'm working on then. So first up, KAL. The KAL that I'm hosting in the Gilpin group on Ravelry, and again details of where to find it are in the down bar here. We are now halfway through the knit along, so we've got until the end of this month to get all of our Argyll Snoods finished. I have completed, no I'm not, I'm on the fourth of 6 repeats. Now there is still time to join in the KAL. You go have a look in the Ravelry group, all the stuff's there. I'm trying not to be abrupt, it's just time constraints and stuff to get through, and I don't want to keep going over all the same stuff. But you have to use dyes Lalland Lambswool. This is it here in the Haar colourway, which is beautiful. It's 100% Lambswool. It's 100% Scottish yarn. It's been grown, milled, dyed, everything to do with production in Scotland. Yeah, there is still time. If you buy the yarn from dye, then get in touch with me through Ravelry, through the Ravelry group, and let me know once you've ordered it. I will send you the pattern, so you're getting the pattern for free if you take part in KAL. And I'm loving it, guys. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm kind of in my pattern groove now with this. It is a beautiful pattern. It is fairly intricate, but I can concentrate on fairly basic stuff like soaps now while I'm knitting, which is great because I really couldn't for a while. Yeah, I'm really pleased. I had to go up a needle size, so I'm working on 3.5mm needles here. The pattern specifies 3.25, but I was in between both sizes and gauge. I did knit the first pattern repeat in the smaller size, measured it out, realised it was going to be too small to actually go. I might be pushing it to get this out of the 3 balls now for what I've had to go out, but I'm going to get beautiful snood out of this at the end of the day, and it's definitely a pattern I would do again, but not immediately because I feel that I do need a bit of a break because it, like I say, the intensity levels have been up on that one. The second project that I've got going on at the moment are these socks, and spoiler, because it turns out that my friend Tracy, who these are for, actually started watching my podcast after the last episode. She was, "Oh, I saw your socks, I love the socks you knit," and it's like, well, they're for you. You know it now. But it is good because I'm not terribly chuffed with the pattern, which I had mentioned before. Now these are Wise Hilda's Basic Ribbed Socks by Kate Atherley. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, so you can't really complain too much with it being a free pattern, despite it following a basic kind of sock recipe. But there's just little, and I won't go over it again here, I kind of detailed all the bits that I didn't really like about it in episode 40. I'm still not really feeling the love. I did point out the bits that I didn't like to Tracy, but she wasn't caring. She loved them. She tried this one on because I've got one finished now. She tried it on. She loves them. She loves the kind of the helter-skelter way that the yarn has just spiralled down the leg. The way that it's pulled. That's P-O-O-L, not P-U-L-L. Flat across the back, ribbed down to the toes. I don't like the toe shaping, which is kind of the point I was at last time. I still just had to do the toe, I think. Anyway, they fit Tracy. She loves them. She's happy with them. So I haven't ripped them back. I think with a few tweaks and changes to the pattern, then I may do it again. But like I say, it's kind of a recipe, so you can kind of pick up what you want from it and kind of change it to your own style, your own feet, your own preferred heels, or what fits you best. I've started the second sock. I'll just flick these ends in here because there was a knot in the yarn, so I had to cut it off and start again. So sock 2, again we're getting this wonderful spiralling effect going down the leg of the sock. I'm on with 2 udder needles, cheers scapbordy for that term. I have worked my heel flap, flat, back and forth, and I've just turned the heel this morning. So I've done that, and I'm just about to pick up stitches and work my gusset decreases. Fair amount of yarn left. I should still have the tag in here to show you. Yes, I do. So this is Schoppel Wool Boots 100% Strange, 400 meters for 100 grams. There he is, the little black cat. He's so cute. He's got all the yarn. This is a blend of 44% virgin wool, 14% cotton and 42% mercerized cotton. I hadn't realised that there was any cotton in it, really. Never mind how much percentage of cotton was in it before I started working with it, because I didn't bother to double check. I just went, ooh, 400 meters, 100 grams, that'll do. I am finding that, yeah, my tension's a bit tighter with it, but it does seem to work. It will be interesting to see how hard wearing these are. I did knit a pair of socks before for Tracy that she got before Christmas time. They weren't a winter gift or whatever, they were a gift for something else, like a creative exchange. So she has got another pair that are 75%, 25%, and it'll be interesting to see how they wear in comparison. Despite the fact they've got different heels and things. So I think there's a few variables, but it's worth exploring, and then I'll see how I feel about that, because I think that's quite a low nylon content. I wouldn't put so little nylon in my socks normally. Maybe the cotton will be relatively strong the way it's been spun though. I don't know. In the same way that, you know, denim's cotton but it's hard wearing, I suppose it's the way that it's woven and it's blended as to how durable it will be. So that is interesting. And then I've got one other active project on the go at the moment. I don't often show you my hand-dyed yarn, but I am today. So this is Melted Moglet Dyeworks. It doesn't have a name because I didn't name it. It was just one of these skeins from a first dyeing adventure, and it's not normally my sort of shade because it's kind of a pinky peach orange. It's not quite as bright as it's showing up on screen. But I loved it. I just fell in love with this shade of yarn, and I thought, I'm snaffling this one for myself. And I am working a Soft Sunday by Suvi Simola. Don't worry, information's in the down bar. And this has been on my list of joyful things to knit for quite some time. And I purchased a pattern, it's a paid for pattern, and I just haven't gotten around to it before now. And again, May Day, all the things that I wanted to do, and I took a half day off because I needed a break. I just needed some time out for me. So I botanically dyed yarn and I made shortbread bunny rabbit biscuits, and I cast this on, although I've done a little bit more knitting over the last couple of days as well. But it did me good just to take a bit of time off rather than spending so much time in front of a computer, which I feel I'm doing a lot of at the minute, but needs must. Anyway, waffling on. This is Soft Sunday. And I'm really, really chuffed with how it's coming along. So it's got a big garter section, and then we've got a lace panel. Let's see if you can see the lace panel. So lace panel, and then you get garter section, and another lace panel, and I think in its entirety we're going to have 8 different lace panels. And seeing as I can't find my note of yardage for this, I may have to do one less garter and lace panel. It depends how it goes, because I haven't swatched for this. I don't normally swatch for shawls, I usually have lengthy yarn. But the lace panels are, let's see if we can kind of get it to, they are opening up beautifully, even if I do say so myself. I'm really happy with how it's coming together. These are 4mm needles. I'm gonna have to put it on a longer cable. This is the only one I could find and I was just desperate to cast on. These are just Knit Pro. Are they called Knit Pro in the UK? I think they are just called Knit Pro in the UK. I think they've got a different name in some places overseas, but I'm really happy with how it's coming on. It's just sort of, you know, bias of the bias kind of shawl. Thought that was someone coming to my door there, but they're not, so that's fine. Yeah, I like the colour. I think it works well. It's not too much to concentrate on with 10 row repeat for lace panels, and they're not lace every row, so you get like what I call a rest row in between, which makes it a hell of a lot easier if you make a mistake and you need to rip back, that you're not ripping back yarn overs on both rows where it just gets into a fangle and a total mess. So really chuffed with that. Put a couple of squares into my blanket while I've been away. I made myself some goals while I was away, and one of those was to put 3 squares into my blanket, because it's a project that I utterly adore, and it seems to be feast or famine with it, really, just depending on what's going on. So first square up is a square from Cosmic Strings. This is the Ripple Sock. You might notice the yarn if you're a regular viewer, because this is what was left over from my partner Josh's birthday socks. This one as well was a little mini I was playing with. This is Milted Moglet Dyeworks. It's a really vibrant red, tonal red. And then the other one is one from Abercairn Yarns, which is Desiree, who is a regular watcher of the podcast. Thank you, Desiree. Lovely sort of candy floss tones in this, and I don't know if the camera will pick it quite up, but there's little purple speckles in there as well. Kind of, it's kind of candy floss, dolly mixture kind of inspired, or certainly that's what it kind of says to me. That's the knits. Let's have a look at the novels. So first up on the novels is I finished Girls by Lottie Lansens, which was a story about 2 conjoined twins, I think Craniopagus, probably not pronouncing that correctly at all, apologies, connected for about this point on their heads. It's not a true to life story, although there are instances of conjoined twins living like that, with that particular type of conjoinment, but a fantastic novel nonetheless, and a great one as a holiday read. I have now passed it on to a friend, which is why I don't have it to show to you today. This is a friend who's taken a bit of a break from reading books and felt inspired to kind of get back to it, so thrilled that she's like that, because I don't particularly think it matters so much what you read as much as the act of reading is important. So that's the first novel I finished. Then I read this, Breakfast with the Borgias by DBC Pierre. I read Fern Godlittle by this author a few years ago. I was not a fan. Quite drawn to the cover of this. It's from a local library where they were doing like a rainbow of reeds, which is quite a visual, massive, striking wall kind of display to look at when you walked into the library. And I thought, you know what, just give this author another shot, because he is really quite well lauded by various different sort of literary bodies. So, marooned in an isolated guest house on the Suffolk coast, American academic Ariel Panic falls in with a family who appear to be commemorating an event. But this is no ordinary commemoration, and this is no ordinary family. As evening becomes night, Panic becomes trapped in an insidious web of other people's secrets and lies as he realises that hell is other people. Now, this is quite an unsettling read at times. It is designed to be read all in one sitting if you possibly can. It's not the longest of novels. It is a very quite fluid read. It's only 248 pages and it is quite sizable print. And I think I read it within like a day and a half or maybe 2 days without looking back into my Goodreads. But yeah, I don't think this is typical of DPC Pierre and his normal sort of novel content, because this was part of a series written for, I think it's supposed to be like chiller sort of shorts. Can't find it now where it kind of says a bit more. Hammer, which is a well-known film brand in the UK who've made 150 feature films, terrifying and thrilling audiences worldwide for generations. But they commissioned a small kind of handful of contemporary novelists to write chilling thrillers, and this is one of the results. Jeanette Winterson, who I'm a big fan of, has written one as well, so I'll probably have to seek hers out. Second novel, and I'm not really going to speak about this one terribly much. I loathed it. It was a chore to get through every page, and I took it away with me especially because it was one of these things that I wanted to set goals for and just get through. So I set myself a goal of at least 50 pages per day. I was getting over 100 pages a day on some occasions, and I read it purely because it is another one of the titles on the 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die. So this is Ada, or Ardor, by Vladimir Nabokov. I'm mindful that there could be other people in the area where you're maybe listening to my podcast at the minute, so I don't want to speak about it very much other than to say very strong on the adult themes all the way through. For almost 700 pages. It's very intense, it's very unsettling. I didn't like Lolita. I have read Lolita, which made me feel physically sick on occasion. Some very, very similar themes to that in this, and I wouldn't say stronger, maybe a bit different, but very much in that same vein. If you did not like Lolita, you are not going to like this, and please give it a wide berth. But one of the things I would say about novelists and whether they actually work as a writer is, do they have the ability to make you react so strongly? That is a sign of a good writer. And yes, I don't enjoy Nabokov's work, and I've got another 2 of his novels on this list to get through to complete the 1001 Books You Must Do Before You Die. So it's four titles in total of his have made that list. But he does make me have a very, very strong reaction to his works. So, you know, therein lies his genius and his work, and he obviously kind of succeeds in that, but it's really not to my taste. I'm just going to move on. Okay, a bit lighter. A lighter read, she says, with another crime thriller. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this author's name either. I think it's Aline Templeton, or Aline Templeton, but I could be totally wrong. Cradle to the Grave. It's number 6 in her D.I. Marjorie Fleming series, a series of crime novels set in Galloway in Scotland, and I enjoy them in the same way that I enjoy Wallander, although they're not as sort of intense as Henning Mankell's novels are. I won't read the blurb on the back to this one either, because it is in the middle of a sort of a series. I think it's about slap bang in the middle of her D.I. Marjorie Fleming series. But I love the fact that it's a female author, and we've got a really strong female heroine in this, and other strong female characters really come out in the series of novels. I've really enjoyed all the others in the series up until this point. I think there was The Darkness in the Deep, it was a real standout for me. I think as was Lying Dead. Is it Lying Dead or Lamb to the Slaughter? They've all been really, really good. Also the fact that they're based in Scotland and I can kind of relate to the landscapes, and there are certain topics such as the foot and mouth epidemic that we had break out in the UK well over a decade ago now, but how that affected farming communities and rural communities up and down the UK, and it did actually come into Scotland. I don't know if we got any, can't remember whether we had any confirmed cases, but certainly there was culling of livestock on Scottish farms and the sort of the funeral pyres and things. It was an utterly horrific time. But these sort of contemporary things are referenced in the novels, which just makes it that wee bit more relatable and kind of makes you think, particularly if you're like a Scottish resident, being in Scotland and reading Scottish contemporary literature. That's my novels. How are we doing for time, folks? 26 minutes? Not too bad, and it's not flashing at me to say that I'm running out of juice. Especially. Okay, there's not a huge amount, but yeah, not to panic yet. So, I've been watching Versailles, series 1 again. I didn't watch all of them last time, but series 2 is now there, so series 1 was made available on the iPlayer and all the ones were made available. I think I'm enjoying it a bit more this time round. I'm still not entirely convinced on the use of contemporary and electronic music with the time period of Louis XIV. I think it's Louis XIV. Anyway, that period of French history, but some very, very strong acting in it, and again a lot of adult themes, so please do not watch it when the little ones are about, and I'm not going to talk about it too much because of that, because there's a lot of adult content in this. But it is available on BBC iPlayer. It may be available abroad if you've got like a subscription service for something like that, but it does every time you go to watch it. Are you age 16 or over? And I would say a lot of it's even graphic for a 16-year-old. Okay, pod love, and then the giveaway. So pod love, a bit of pod love. I've already given pod love to Lisa from TreLiz, so go check her out. But also, who knew that, I want to say it's Ella Douglas, I hope it's Ella Douglas! Ella, who does all the knitwear designing, and she did the Croft House hat for last year's Shetland Wool Week. She sporadically podcasts, and who knew? I only found out when I came across her blog on Edinburgh Yarn Festival for this year, so if you're into all things Fair Isle and young female contemporary knitwear designers, go and have a nose. Even if you're just a fan of different Scottish accents, because let's be honest, there are a lot of different Scottish accents out there, and she's got a quite distinctive one, so go and have a listen. And Yeska, I want to give a shout out to Yeska from the Knitgizmomakes Podcast. I came across her by chance. I added her to my pods to watch list where there's over 200 different podcasts I still need to go and check out, and finally got the chance to listen to it a bit while I was away. She's fabulous. She's only got a handful of podcasts out. She had taken a big long break and has just started podcasting again. She's also a Moomin fan, gin drinker, tea drinker, and just so relatable on so many levels. If you like me, guarantee you're going to love Yeska, so please go and check her out, because she's just so adorable and lovable. Yeah, sorry, just being very, very mindful there of time. I'm starting to get a bit panicked that we might run out of storage space. So, the last thing I want to kind of touch on here, guys, is my Paper Podiversary winner. I hope you didn't think I was going to forget. I haven't. Thread's now locked in Ravelry. We had 7 people take part to going for the chance of 2 prizes of winning the campsite hat by fabulous designer Carol McPherson from the Next Beautiful Thing podcast. So one of those people taking part was not subscribed, well they may be subscribed to the podcast, but they had not joined the Ravelry group, and that is one of the kind of stipulations I have put down. So they were discounted, but their number didn't come up anyway. So in no particular order, first drawn using random number generator was number 5, who is your friend and my friend, Beardy Cheel. So congratulations John, Beardy Cheel. A copy of Carolyn's pattern will be winging its way to you. And the second copy of the pattern is going to Elamicol, or is it Lemicol? I'm not quite sure how you pronounce your Ravelry name. But you are Linda and you live in Pennsylvania and you are post number 2. Did I say that? I possibly did. Congratulations to both of you. So I'm probably going to give it a day or two just so you get the chance to see this and it's been uploaded, and get that wee thrill that you get when you hear your name being mentioned on a podcast. I know I get it when I get a wee bit of shout out or pod love. Give you the opportunity to maybe get that and then enjoy that, and then I will pop the copy of the pattern over. I'll gift it to you on Ravelry. So I think I have probably spoken to you about everything I wanted to talk to you all about today. More exciting news and other things to come. But thanks for taking a wee bit of time out with me. I hope you've had an enjoyable time. Let me know. There's comments if you want to use them. There's thumbs up also if you want to use them, and a subscription option too. So all that remains really for me is to say what I normally do. So happy knitting, happy spinning, happy crocheting, happy weaving, whatever it is you do. Pardon me. Hiccups. That's not a good time to get hiccups now, is it? So take care of yourself first and foremost, and take care of one another, and until hopefully just a fortnight's time. And if I get loads of knitting done before that, I'll check in before that point. But until next time, have a great time and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.